And so that will be available to you as well going forward. The other thing is that we will be keeping you primarily on mute. However, there will be portions of today that you will be able and welcome and invited to unmute yourselves and cheer for our graduates. Please feel free also to use the reaction buttons, which are in the bottom of your Zoom screen. They will allow you to applaud for people and to give people a big thumbs up. So that's fantastic. So finally, in the chat, my colleague, Dr. Campbell, our BSW program director, is going to be occasionally putting up a link to today's program. So that will be a PDF document that brings you through the agenda, the program for today, and that is a lovely keepsake as well. So that will be linked for you periodically in the chat. I want to thank all of those who've made this morning possible. Really want to thank Dean Robin Dole from the School of Human Service Professions. I want to thank Center Director for the Center for Social Work Education, Jennifer Cullen, and you'll be hearing from both of them shortly. I also want to thank our founding PhD program director, Dr. Tom Young. Give him a wave, Tom. Who's here joining us today and to present the award that is given in his name every year. I want to thank BSW Program Director Margaret Campbell, who's here personing our wait room and our chat space. And to thank Mary Ellen Ferkler, Rashonda Smith, Jill Brinker, Arden Bizard, and Sarah Weil, without whom nothing is possible without them. They really keep us up and running and on task. To the Center for Social Work Education faculty, thank you. My amazing, amazing colleagues, some of whom you'll be hearing from today, who've taught your loved ones and who've mentored them in various ways throughout their time in the program. So here, you'll be hearing from just some of them, but they are here en masse supporting your students. And then lastly, our amazing, incredible, wonderful students and their families, thank you so much for making today possible for them and for being such an integral part of their journeys in our program and our time together. You're going to hear today about work that is innovative, that is contemporarily relevant, that is extremely well-grounded in theory, practice, and in previous research. And that's distinctly and powerfully a product of these graduates' minds. Our dissertation chairs are there to support students in their journey. The journey is theirs. The questions that they ask are their questions, born out of their experience and their practice. And so their accomplishments are really and truly and fully their own. Be proud. I hope you enjoy today. And with that, I will turn it over to our first two speakers to give you a welcome. So that would be our Dean of the School of Human Service Professions, Dr. Robin Dole, and she will be followed by the Center Director for the Center for Social Work Education, Jennifer Cullen.
Mute, right? Good morning, everyone. It's my sincere pleasure to be with you here today. Even if we're only here through the magic of technology and Zoom, it's still fantastic to see you here. And I want to extend my personal greetings first to all of you in this fantastic class of 2020. Thank you for your patience, your resilience, and your supreme efforts to finally make it and arrive at this special place. I would also like to extend a special thank you to those who have supported you on this journey, parents and partners, families and friends. And some of those are with and without fur. I do notice that as we've been in this Zoom technology world, we're meeting all sorts of people that are a part of your world, and they have been part of this journey with you. And indeed, it's been an interesting journey. However you've made it to this place, it's likely not been without some obstacles in your path. And even more so in these last several months. This time of challenge and of uncertainty has caused me to reflect multiple times on a quote, a saying, words often attributed to an old African proverb. And being a lover of the sea and sailing myself, it has special meaning for me. Smooth seas do not make skillful sailors. And indeed, the path, your path to this place, has likely not been very smooth. And indeed, nothing worth achieving comes very easily, does it? But this is a pinnacle moment for each and every one of you, having achieved the highest of academic education credentials, an honor, an award of the highest in the achievement in your doctoral degree. And while we can think about all the things that have been so difficult lately, all of the challenges, perhaps all the obstacles that have been in your way, today is about celebration. I celebrate each and every one of you. I thank you for the contributions you've already made to the fantastic profession of social work. And I trust and charge you with the obligation to continue to make meaningful contributions as you continue on your journey in life and in your profession. My gratitude also extends, as it does with Dr. Hauser, to the faculty and staff of the Center for Social Work Education, who have been by your side and instrumental as you navigate the turbulent seas of this journey. It is always important to have great people by our side, and so we celebrate all of them today as well. Finally, my congratulations again to each and every one of you, the class of 2020, and best wishes. Thank you. And so I think I'm turning it over to Jen Cullen, right?
Yep, I just had to unmute myself. Good morning, everyone. Welcome, friends, family, faculty, honored guests, and most importantly, the graduates of 2020 from your PhD program. Welcome to our first and hopefully only virtual celebration of graduates and hooding. You've worked long and hard to get to this place. It is a culmination of all of your passion and your dedication, not to mention patience and support from your loved ones. We're proud to be here with you today as you move forward from Widener with your PhD as leaders in our profession, ready to share your passion and knowledge with the world. We are living in unprecedented times in this world, and it needs most desperately strong and knowledgeable, dedicated and compassionate leaders, and that's you. Your knowledge and leadership is exactly what we need. It's exactly what the world needs, and we are expecting you to be brilliant stars in the field of social work moving forward. We are very honored and excited to be here to celebrate with you today and to celebrate with your loved ones and with your faculty who work diligently with you. And we want to just congratulate you in all of your accomplishments now and all of the accomplishments of tomorrow. Congratulations, class of 2020.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cullen. I now have the great pleasure of introducing our graduating student speaker for this morning, Dr. Mary Elizabeth Semerad. Dr. Semerad, Mary Beth, began her doctoral program in August 2011 at Widener and has worked for almost 40 years in the field of community-based human services in both mental health and crisis and supportive services systems. Her employment and research experiences have included a focus on the impact of child sexual abuse, as well as the specialized needs of adult survivors of child sexual abuse and pregnant and parenting teens. While at Widener, Mary Beth presented her research at the 2017 PhD Student Research Symposium, as well as at the 2019 Graduate Student Research Symposium. She has been teaching as an adjunct instructor, and I will add here, much loved adjunct instructor. Her students are extraordinary fans of Mary Beth in both the BSW and MSW programs, as well as working as a consultant with an arts and theater-based nonprofit organization dedicated to social justice. Mary Beth, thank you for presenting to us this morning.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Dole. Thank you, Dr. Cullen. This is very emotional. Thank you, Dr. Hauser. Good morning, students, families, friends, faculty, staff, and administrators. Today marks not only a milestone in our academic lives, but today is really a moment in our current history because we are gathering not in person, but in a virtual setting to celebrate an honored tradition in which our educational mentors will recognize each one of us as scholars. Today, we are formally welcomed into the academic community. And I am grateful that together with my 2020 graduating cohort, we will add our page to this historical record and join our predecessors at the Center for Social Work Education at Widener University. Now, as social workers, we have a deep reverence for history. We embrace the writings, the research, and the accomplishments of those who have paved the way for us. We have shared that knowledge with our students, our communities, and sometimes we use that as a map to explore new unanswered questions and provide stability and support to those in need. Yet in the midst of this crisis, we are very much aware that we need stability and support. So today, I ask that you pause for a moment and reflect on how deeply personal and important today is. I recall every moment about my first day, my entrance into the PhD program at Widener in 2011. I remember walking into Bruce Hall. I recall walking down the stairs. I remember everything that I have observed, the pictures on the wall, the seating arrangements, the faces of the individuals in my cohort. The uniqueness of our PhD program was that it was part-time, so it respected that students were working. So we had classes every Friday. And each week when my group would gather, my small cohort would gather, we sat in the same seats. Now, I'm not sure how the other students felt, but that seat made me feel centered. It made me feel that I belonged there, that I was ready for that Titanic state. And I can clearly remember sitting with my cohort and realizing that Widener had the wisdom to create a cohort that was a mix of people who were newcomers, as well as individuals who had already spent a semester or two there already. So we had an opportunity to follow as well as lead. I deeply appreciate the leadership of Dr. Thomas Young and Dr. Linda Hauser. They helped to create a family with us. They helped to create a home for our learning, a we. So as we were able to try and discover new paths of ourselves as we move forward in the program. Now, I have had the pleasure of listening to many people talk about their PhD pursuit as a journey. For me, it was an odyssey. It was personal, it was private, it was painful at times, it was challenging, and it was terrifying. But when I look back on it, I realized that what it was is not just a pursuit of knowledge, but a pursuit of self. Think about this. We were driven by this passion for many years, and each of us explored a topic in social work that represented that discovery of self, maybe more than we realized at the time. Seeing all of you today, I'm reminded how much I love the pomp and circumstance of ceremonies. I love the way that we gather together. I think it creates a sense of belonging when we follow the traditions of those who came before us. So for a moment, I want to remind you of how much we really are connected to each other. There are 8 of us who represent the 2020 graduating class of doctoral students in the social work program. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting each one of you in person, but I know you. Tarn and Kim. We may not have met in person, but I have been introduced to your work, and I've been introduced to the powerful influence you had on your students. As a tutor and a teacher of graduate students, Tarn, you have simplified the complex world of statistics and quantitative data analysis. And Kim, your MSW students expound upon your practice wisdom. And they talk to me about how you have inspired and expanded their thinking about medical social work as an even possible career path for their future practice. Sarah, Aaron, we have been in classes together. And I have watched you as you talked about your passion for teaching and clinical issues. And I watched how you both unpacked with ease the complicated theoretical models in our classes, while you shared with me the treasured moments of balancing professional and personal selves when you discussed motherhood. It reminded me of many years ago when I was new to the field and I would sit at my dining room table and write grants at the same time I was teaching my daughter how to write in cursive. We make it work. John and Amanda, I don't think we met for too long, but I was finishing my Friday coursework when you were beginning yours. And when we met, I was so impressed that you both had a concrete vision of where you wanted to go and the issues you wanted to explore. And recently, in reading the titles of your dissertations, I realized that you have stayed committed to that path while you confronted the ever-changing picture of immigration policy and mental health issues as they faced and are viewed by both society and individuals. It reminded me that this is much more than an interest in a topic that drives us. It's a personal quest to discover something new about ourselves and where we fit. Now, I also recall a conversation with this blended cohort of PhD students where we asked ourselves that delicate question that haunted all of us. Can I do this? Will I finish this? And fortunately, as if by coincidence, synchronicity, or as if by magic, someone usually crosses into our line of vision and answers that question for us. And for me, it was Matthew. Matthew, I don't know if you remember this, but I ran into you outside of Bruce Hall right after you had been hired as a faculty member. You were in the midst of your research, drowning in transcriptions. And I asked you that question. I said, how do you do it? Can I do it? And you calmly and warmly said to me, of course you can. We can do this, but we need to believe that we can do this. We inched along, together and alone. It was very difficult at times, but the chronology of our learning journey was enhanced by this wonderful soundtrack in the background of ever-changing life events and voices. And yes, they were sometimes obstacles and sometimes supports, but we found our way with this. I have always loved words. I love to read. I love to write. I realized that our dissertations, they were a testament to this process. I never expected that I would feel the words of my dissertation. Our dissertation brought our research to life. We took an idea and we looked beneath the surface. We have added our signature to a topic that may have puzzled people for decades or maybe has just emerged as a new concern. But I remind you, my cohort, we brought it into focus now. Many years ago, I read the memoirs of Lillian Hellman. Now, she's a talented and complicated author, but it wasn't just her writings that attracted me. It was the title of one of her works. That title was called Pentimento. Now, as I understand it, that word, pentimenti, is rooted in the word repentance. It's applied in art, and in art to an artist's method of painting over another painting, of reusing a canvas in a new way. And when that happens, sometimes an underlying image becomes visible as the top layer fades, confirming that the artist had repented or changed their mind. Now, Hellman applied that to her memoirs. And she said, as she wrote her reflections in the present time, she could see traces of people and events in her past that also rose to that surface. And she found new meaning in that look back. I remind you today, my cohort, that your masterpiece, your dissertation and this process is not only important to you, but you've added another rich dimension of understanding to the social work profession. In completing our research, we've taken a canvas that may have been painted or investigated before, but each of us, we repainted over the previous canvas. And whether it was related to social work policy or practice or a paradox of social problems, we put our signature on this contribution. And upon reflection, we can also see traces of previous works. So now, we need to value this rich knowledge and follow what was modeled to us by our esteemed faculty and committee members. Be generous with what you learned. Share with your students, the individuals, the families, and the communities in your practice, and even with the systems where you both lead and follow. Celebrate who you are and what we did, and that we did it together. Congratulations. Thank you again, dear faculty and committee members, our loving family and friends, for your generous support. Dr. Kaufman, my dissertation chair and advisor, I will never forget you. Thank you, all of you, for today.
I invite you all to unmute.
Wow.
Yay.
Yay.
Hey, Mary.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mary Beth. Thank you so much for your words and for you, for being who you are. Thank you. That was wonderful. So I now turn it over to Dr. Tom Young, who is going to be presenting the Thomas Young Award.
Hi, Linda, can you hear me all right?
I can hear you wonderfully. Thank you.
Oh, great. So you probably, you won't be surprised that I'm just going to go off script. It'll be a lot briefer. And I want to start first by thanking you. I mean, chokes me up. You're just doing such a great job. And pulling all this together, for example, everything you do is just great. And Robin, are you still there? And Jen, I mean, it's just so great to see you and Steve and Jenny, Ginny, John, Steve, if I haven't mentioned it already. Eric, I'm sorry that we never got a chance to meet, but I'm hoping that sometime in the future that will happen. And I wanted to say to all the graduates before addressing Doctors Myrick and Semerad, it's until you've gone through it, I don't think people really appreciate what Mary Beth referred to as the personal odyssey, and the long haul, the struggle, and how important the support you get from your loved ones is during it. And so I just wanted to extend the congratulations and the award of a degree to you and to all your family, repeating some things other people have said. So, Doctors Myrick and Semerad, when Linda first told me that you were going to be the recipients of the award and that you didn't know yet, the first thing I did was to flash back, of course, to those first interviews. And I was thinking, you know, this is really funny. These two people are so different in so many, you know, just obvious ways. And what was the one thing that they both said in the interview when I asked them, did they have any other questions or concerns? Both of you said, I'm not sure I can do it. I'm not sure I'm smart enough. So, as Mary Beth anticipated, about that myth, poof, it's gone. You did it. Congratulations. So then the other thing that hit me, and this is really interesting, it's so gratifying being a founding director, seeing even your private thoughts come to be, you know, things you would never dare speak out loud, you know. So it occurred to me that I might have to say something, and maybe it was about time someone said what this award means. I mean, it's not something I made up. It's something that the faculty made up after I retired, which is a little overwhelming, by the way, but thank you. So what I think it means to receive this award, Matthew and Mary Beth, it means that you're someone whose curiosity and compassion have propelled you to investigate an understudied topic in a disciplined, scientific manner and with distinction. That's what the award is about. But it also means you have a responsibility now to remain curious, to follow your compassion, continue to publish, present, collaborate, Whatever mode of communication suits you, but engage the broader practice and academic community. I think I know you both well enough, even though I've been gone, what, 5 years now. I think I know you both well enough to say that I'm quite confident you will continue to be the leaders that you've obviously already become. So congratulations on the award. Thanks, Linda.
I welcome you again to applaud.
Oh my
Woohoo!
Yes!
Yay.
Yes!
Congratulations.
Yes!
Congratulations.
Yes! Oh my,
Celeste.
oh my God!
Oh my God. How are you?
Okay.
Oh, good. Brent, hang in there, man.
Tom, so good to see you. It's Pat.
Dr. Fletcher, who are all those people behind you?
Oh, that's my
That's
Hey,
my
Robin.
oh,
Oh, nice. So
congratulations.
nice to see you. Congratulations. Steering the ship. Whoa, Dr. Cooper.
Good to see you, Tom.
Thanks. Love the beard. Love the beard. Thank you.
All right, so I will proceed then going forward. Thank you so much, Tom, and for being here. It means a great deal. And for those of you who may not know how old our program is, we started in 2007, and it was really Dr. Young, and with the support of then Dean Paula Silver and Center Director Dr. Don Poulin, who built this program, and cannot be happier or more proud. We have many, well, I should have counted, but lots of graduates doing amazing things all over the country as faculty members, as clinicians, as administrators, as policy analysts, and as movers in the social work field. So immensely, immensely proud of all of our graduates. So with that, we are now going to shift into the presentation of students by their chairs. And so I'm going to invite each chair in turn and in order, in the order presented in the program, alphabetical order by last name, to introduce the graduating individual, so no longer a student, the doctor, our graduates. And following the introduction of each student by their chair, I will then also invite everyone to unmute and cheer. So we will have the full introduction by the chair, and then the unmuting and the cheering. And while that's going on, I invite each student, if they have a hood, their academic hood, to go ahead and put that on. Feel free to put anything on, really, and just to celebrate and enjoy yourselves and to enjoy your moment. So again, after each person is introduced, we will cheer. I'm going to read you just a real brief history of the doctoral hood, the academic costume code. The origins of academic dress date back to the 12th and 13th centuries, when universities were taking form. The ordinary dress of the scholar, whether student or teacher, was the dress of a cleric. With few exceptions, the medieval scholar had taken at least minor orders, made certain vows, and perhaps had their head shaved, been tonsured. So we're happy that we're not doing that right now. Long gowns were worn and may have been necessary for warmth in unheated buildings. Hoods seem to have served to cover the shaved or tonsured head until they were superseded by the skull cap. A statute of the University of Coimbra in 1321 required that all doctors, licentiates, and bachelors wear gowns. In England, in the second half of the 14th century, this is a long history, the statutes of certain colleges forbade excess in apparel, so no honor cords, no excess, and prescribed the wearing of a long gown. In the days of Henry VIII of England, Oxford and Cambridge first began prescribing a definite academic dress and made it a matter of university control, even to the extent of minor details. The assignment of colors to signify certain faculties was a much later development, and one which was standardized only in the United States. And that happened in the late 19th century. Beginning in 1893, an intercollegiate commission made up of representatives of leading institutions has overseen the US system for academic apparel. In 1986, the committee updated the code and added a sentence clarifying the use of the lovely color dark blue for the Doctor of Philosophy degree. So that is where your regalia has come from. So with that, I will turn it over to our first graduate and her chair.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Jenny Wyatt. Congratulations to all of our graduates, and great to see everyone this morning. Wonderful to celebrate this momentous event for all of you. And then I have the particular honor to introduce Dr. Kimberly Jan Portone. Dr. Jan Portone, came to us here at Widener partway through her doctoral studies from a program that will not be named. But we're so glad that she did. She was involved in coursework in a very rich way, wonderful colleague to her classmates, real great ability for critical analysis and in-depth thought, great grasp of knowledge. And then I had the privilege to chair her dissertation, and her dissertation work culminated from her own curiosity and her own experience, particularly in medical social work. Dr. Jan Portone did a dissertation, a phenomenological inquiry of the dynamics in interprofessional teams, particularly looking at how cohesion is developed in interprofessional teams, and also looking at implications for social work education within that. So her qualitative study involved interviewing doctors, nurses, social workers, holding her own bias, and she came up with some rich data and themes, and had a great conceptual framework that will further inform both the work of interprofessional teams in medical settings, but also in other areas as well. Also reflects a great deal on some modifications we can make in social work education, and ultimately can look at helping to develop better patient outcomes. So there's a lot of great scholarship in her work for her future. Dr. Jan Portone also is a beloved and treasured colleague of us here in the Center for Social Work Education. As Mary Beth alluded to, her students have loved her and have benefited greatly from her wisdom. And then us as colleagues, both on the faculty and in the field department in particular, have really cherished her being a team member. So with all this, her ability for inquisitive thinking, her ability for scholarship, for research, her strong knowledge, her energy and enthusiasm, her openness to continue to grow, as well as a very deep scholarship agenda and being a great teacher. She really is the epitome of what we want to see from doctoral education. So we're so pleased that she had joined us and now is finishing with us as a doctor. And with that, she's accepted a tenure track position at the University of Southern Maine, which will be a wonderful opportunity for her, given that they have a hospital affiliation, medical education, as well as nursing education. So I have no doubt that she'll make a huge difference, not only in social work, but also with other professions. And she also has a few things to say about the healthcare system. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see things down the road from her in that way. So congratulations, Dr. Jan Portone. Please join me in honoring Dr. Jan Portone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations, Kim.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Kim.
Yeah, Dr. Kim.
Kim, is there any chance you could give us a quick shout just so that everyone can see you without having to look through their screens?
Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for all the well wishes. Thank you. Thank you. Congratulations to everybody here. Hi, Mom.
Boy, that regalia looks great on you. Oh, that looks awesome. I'm so glad you have it.
Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. And I'll ask all the students to do that too. I just thought of that. That's a good way to be able to see your faces. So I am next. I get to introduce, I have the great pleasure of introducing Dr. Amanda Hill. When Amanda arrived at Widener, I really quickly thought, this is someone who reminds me a lot of myself at this point in my doctoral journey, coming into classes. wanting so much to make a difference in the field of social work, filled with ideas and passion for a variety of topics, and really, really, sometimes really hard on herself. Super smart and super hard on herself at the same time. And what I found with Amanda that also reminded me a lot of myself is that we would, when I would give her feedback, this sort of what faculty like to call constructive feedback, sometimes it's hard. And so like me, we could go on this place of, this is, you know, very hard to hear and very difficult feedback. And then she would just turn it around so fast and use it in these really rich and amazing ways to build her journey. She's so talented, so wise. And if I could make her believe half of what she's capable of, then we would, I mean, it would just really be amazing. She's a wonderful young scholar and has great things ahead of her. It's been nothing but a pleasure to work with Amanda through her dissertation journey, with Dr. Hill through her dissertation journey. And I remember too, the quantitative method sequence, really, again, finding her much compatible with the way I think about quantitative research and really enjoying getting into those big statistics. And so it won't be a surprise that when it came time for Dr. Hill to choose her dissertation topic, she chose to study national identity and attitudes towards immigrants in the United States using a large existing data set. And not an easy one to use. She used the International Social Service Program surveys, and specifically the national identity modules. And this is not, again, a simple undertaking. These are complex, large data sets. And what she was doing was a really something that had never been done before. What she accomplished is something that's never been done before, which is to look specifically at the United States and at citizens of the United States and on their responses to a whole set of questions that have to do with national identity, how they think of themselves as, quote, Americans. And what she uncovered was that in these questions, there's really three distinct things happening. And this is consistent with some previous theory. There's the idea of nativism, right? So how much you identify with your country because you are American. So this notion that Americans do certain things. There's emotionality. It's how you feel towards your country. Do you love your country in a particularly emotional way? And then there's also behavior. Do you vote? Do you participate in civic action? And those things, while we tend to group them together when we think about national identity, Dr. Hill found they actually change over time. And so they change over time, and it looks like potentially in ways that might be in response to major events, such as so the September 11th events that took place in New York, and well, in Pennsylvania as well, and really affected the entire globe. So her work really opens up some new directions and understandings about the concept of national identity, but also some thinking about the ways that it looks like emotionality in particular is something that can change over time. And so when we think about public policy and when we think about our actions as social workers, we might really want to think about the way people are responding emotionally to what's going on around them as a really important indicator. And here's what really then pays off is that these things are really linked to how we view immigrants. So how we view individuals who are coming to the country for the first time, and sometimes staying for a long time, sometimes staying for a short time, but either way, how we view and how we actually treat people within the United States has a lot to do with our emotions towards our own identity as citizens. And so I want to applaud Dr. Hill for her innovative, creative work. I want to share what a joy it's been, again, to be part of her journey and to play even just a little role in helping her embrace her own brilliance. And she is now at Salisbury University in an assistant professor tenure track position, and we could not be more proud. Please join me in congratulating Dr. Amanda Hill.
Yeah.
I grabbed my head, sorry. Yeah, yep.
There she is.
Yay! Thank you so much, Linda. Thank you so much. Those were so nice things that you said, and you made me cry, so thanks.
That is my job. Congratulations. I mean every word.
Thank you.
And we'll turn it over to Dr. Folk New, who's going to introduce Erin Hanosko.
Hi, everybody. Good morning. It's really an honor to be part of this celebration today, and I want to say congratulations to all the PhD graduates. And I want to thank Dr. Erin Hanosko for making it possible for me to be here and be a part of this celebration. So over the past 2+ years, Dr. Hanosko has put her heart and soul into her topic and her dissertation, and that a big part of that comes from who she is outside of being a PhD social worker. She's a runner and a mom and a wife and a friend, and she is a therapist, and she did all of those things at the same time that she worked so diligently on her dissertation. Now, I know we can't believe everything that we read on Facebook, but recently I read some things that her family and friends wrote about her. And I can't list all of the wonderful elements of her personality and who she is as a person, but I did want to highlight a few that I think really contributed to the quality work that she did in studying her topic. And they are being compassionate and loving and thoughtful and caring and intelligent and energetic. And so she brought all of this passion into her topic. And through her study, I feel that she really illuminated and enhanced our knowledge about running and trauma in a way that, well, we just really haven't all thought about before. I know I've been changed by the work that she's done, being so immersed in her process throughout, and that she very carefully considered all of the experiences of these runners, and in some ways actually enhanced their knowledge and helped them to connect that they were running for the purposes of helping them work through their own traumatic experiences. I just want to say, Dr. Hanosko, Erin, that I wish you the best, as I wish all the graduates the best. And I can hardly wait to see what you all do next, because next is coming. So congratulations, well done. I'm so proud to be part of your process, Erin. Thank you.
Okay. Yay!
Good job.
Erin.
Wonderful.
Good job, Erin.
Woo! Oh, God.
Congratulations, Erin. Love
Thank
Mom.
you. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you for all your hard work. And congratulations to all the graduates. And thanks to the 3 people who really made it possible.
Well, and I will now return to myself because I have the distinct pleasure of introducing Dr. John Newsom. Dr. Newsom did his dissertation on a really distinct, interesting topic and educated me not only about social theory, but also about grunge music, which was my generation, but somehow I totally missed it. And so I had a lot of educating to be done. There were several moments where I found myself commenting on the dissertation, I don't know who this is, and feeling a little inadequate about that whole thing. So it was really it was a journey and a wonderful one. John came into our program out of our MSW, well, not directly out of our MSW program, but also earned his MSW at Widener University. And so had some familiarity with the faculty, but Dr. Newsom was new to me. I was immediately, quickly, and have been continually impressed by his ability to take new and complex ideas, actually new and also very old ideas, but complex ideas, and just digest them thoroughly, clearly, completely. And it's sometimes hard to keep up actually with the speed at which he takes in new information. And that's wonderful. As a faculty member, as a teacher, the experience of having someone who is continually hungry to learn more is a dream. It's a wonderful dream, pleasure to work with someone like that. And I wanted to read, particularly for John, the way that I invited other people to join his dissertation process, because I thought he could appreciate that, or would appreciate the way I phrased that. I wrote, I am chairing the dissertation committee for John Newsom, who's proposing a critical discourse analysis focused on conceptualizations of self in the work of four forerunners of grunge music: Nirvana, Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, and Soundgarden. His interest is in how the lyrics produced within this musical genre may reveal conceptualizations of self that are related to indicators of mental health crisis, including suicide and drug overdose. This is a somewhat unconventional dissertation for our department, but John is extremely capable and an outstanding writer, and I think he will produce an excellent dissertation. And I was right about that. I wrote to another group, Dr. Cooper and I, so Dr. Richard Cooper, who is also a member of John's committee and pivotal in the development of his dissertation. Dr. Cooper and I have encouraged John to follow his passion, and as a result, his dissertation proposal is a bit unconventional. There's that word again, unconventional. I think it's fantastic, but the method is not one often used in social work. And again, I was right. We often say to people, we often talk as academics about writing a book. Dr. Newsom should definitely write a book. This dissertation is powerful, and it's profound, and it's deeply moving, not just for people who were part of sort of the grunge music generation, or sort of Generation X, but really for everyone, and for all of us who are living through a time where there really is a profound and challenging mental health crisis upon us. So I just want to, again, congratulate Dr. Newsom and say what a joy and pleasure it's been to be part of your journey. Congratulations.
Yay!
Hey,
John!
Yay.
Well, I don't have a hood to put on because I'm not a very conventional scholar, but my son is dropping balloons on me, so that's the best that we can do in the Newsom house.
I think it's outstanding. Congratulations. All right, we will turn it over to Dr. John Giuliano to introduce Dr. Matthew Myrick.
people that were my former students, whom now I consider my colleagues as well. Matthew was a great dissertation student. He has been a clinical professor at Widener for a while. He was also in the first doctoral class that I taught. And I remember his enthusiasm coming into class was so great. It was like, no matter what I said, it seemed exciting to him. It was very fun to teach him. Matthew did his dissertation on the regret experiences of gay men over the age of 65. It was a qualitative study. I was, can everybody hear me? Yeah, okay. I was particularly honored to be selected as his chair. because I had a hard time relating to the topic being a young straight man. But he taught me a lot about how older gay men and review and reflect on their lives and what regrets they may have. He did a qualitative study, he did extensive interviews, and after that he came out with 6 major themes that he found that some overlapped with the general population, but some were very unique to the older gay population. He also did a member check at the end of his study just to make sure and validate that his findings were correct and perceived correctly as he interpreted their transcripts. And he did very well at that. He is a pioneer in this field. No one else has done this study at all, which made it very difficult for him to compare this to other research. But he has now opened the field for a discussion and future research to come on this topic, which may have not happened otherwise. It was a pleasure to work with Matthew. We had a lot of fun together. We laughed a lot together. He was a pleasure to work with. As I said before, he's energetic and enthusiastic. He took feedback very well. He accepted feedback in the most positive light and would make the corrections in a blink, which was something I was impressed with. I learned a lot from Matthew, and I have to say, honestly, I have no regrets for being his chair. So please join me and welcome and honor Dr. Myrick among the new academic scholars in social work.
Woo, Matthew!
Matthew,
Awesome.
if I may share my screen, is that possible, Linda?
Yeah, I can give you that.
Okay.
There we go.
I did the closest it's an amateurish production, but the closest I could come to actually hooding you. So let me see if this will work. If you can see this, and
Oh, not yet.
can you see it?
No.
No? Good intentions.
Well,
you can't see my screen?
Yeah, we can't see your screen. So if you do share screen and then you have to actually pick that particular block. I don't know how to.
Oh, select my block?
Yes, select the one that has what you want to show us.
The image.
Can you see it now?
No. You know what? Send it to me on email and I'll pull it up while others are going. And we'll do it at the end.
All right, I will do that. In the meantime, congratulations, Eric. It'll be a little anticlimactic, but I'll send it to Linda.
All right.
Thank you. Go ahead. I got to hear.
Oh, there we go.
Yay. Congratulations.
Matthew, yes.
Thank you.
Matthew, woo-hoo. Woo.
I will now turn it over to Dr. Eric Stein to introduce Sawathan Foglad.
Good morning, everyone. Great to see you all. I have the honor to introduce Dr. Sawathan Tarn Foglad. Over the years, I've met only a few students with the same level of drive and determination that Tarn demonstrated in her time in Widener's PhD program. Her openness to growth and discovery and willingness to improve on the quality of work, while at the same time maintaining humility, an unfailing positive attitude, and true commitment to process, scholarship, and to the field of social work is rare. Our time together began in Social Work 811, Deconstructing Clinical Theories, where Tarn wrestled with social constructionism and object relations theory, and then seamlessly applied these with a feminist lens to the film Mona Lisa's Smile. Her brilliant presentation on Judith Butler's theory of gender performativity was a highlight of the class. Tarn's dissertation study, examining pre-release programs for women incarcerated for drug-related offenses in Thailand, was extraordinarily ambitious. It involved a thorny IRB process, international travel, recruitment and individual interviews with over 380 participants from 10 female prisons and women's correctional institutions across Thailand. Extensively referenced chapters throughout, as well as clear, concise, and thorough arguments with implications having incredibly far-reaching aspects. And this ambitiousness led to a massive dissertation project completed in record time. As one might imagine, given the level of work, this is research with the potential for major impact on programs for incarcerated women, not just in Thailand, but worldwide. And all the while, Tarn made it look easy with that same level of humility, positivity, and true commitment to the population of incarcerated women and to the project at hand. I'm honored to have been her dissertation chair, and I'm now honored and excited to have her as a colleague. I also feel privileged to have gotten to know her as a person. Congratulations, Dr. Foglad. I know you're on to great success at Thammasat University in Thailand and in your academic career. We hope to see you and your family at commencement next spring.
Yay.
Awesome, Tarn.
Yay!
Congratulations, Tarn.
Thank you so much. Do you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, look at you.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
We miss you so much.
Thank you for my course.
Hope to see you next year.
I miss you so much. I miss you guys so much. Yeah, absolutely. See you next year.
Wonderful. I will turn it over to Dr. Stephen Kaufman then for to introduce both of our last two students. So Dr. Steve.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to all of the graduates and the family members and all of the supportive folks out there. As you've all probably from your experiences, if you're not actually writing the dissertation, you're spending a lot of time supporting the person that writes the dissertation, and nobody couldn't have gotten through without you. So give yourselves a hand here, because it really, you all deserve it very much. Dr. Mary Beth Simrud, what can I say, except there's an old Chinese saying that if a teacher does not leave a student who does not exceed them, the teacher has failed. And in every possible way, I can say Mary Beth is one of the most amazing scholars I have ever had the pleasure to know. Excuse me. I had the opportunity to work with her both in quantitative classroom experiences. I had the opportunity to work with her as she was a research assistant of mine on a project looking at the arts and community in the city of Chester, where she did some amazing work. I believe she actually got some additional consulting work out of that because of the fine work that she did on that. And the characteristics that really drive her, I think, are first of all, a real passion for the profession of social work, as well as for the specific group that she was looking at, which is related to mental health. And I'll get to that in a moment. But it's that passion that really sort of drives what we do. I really like that idea of the painting over the painting, because in many ways, we're not really inventing anything particularly new, but we are expanding bit by bit by bit to have a better understanding of the world that we are a part of. And Mary Beth takes that extremely seriously. In all the classes I had with her, in all of the work that she did as a research assistant and in the process of writing the dissertation, the continual level of questioning was outstanding. And in many cases, she would come to me with thematic issues that that really expanded the theoretical frameworks that she was working with in some really wonderful ways. Turning to her dissertation, the specific title, I'll give it to you, it's kind of long here, but the specific title of it was, excuse me a second here, An Exploration of the Lived Experiences of Stigma Surrounding Mental Illness Among Members in an Intentional Non-Clinical Therapeutic Community. And what she did for this was wonderful. She became aware of a programming process called the Clubhouse, which works not necessarily in a purely therapeutic way, but in a supportive way for persons with mental disabilities. And she did a series of very extensive qualitative interviews with the participants in the Clubhouse in this model, looking at how stigma had informed their life experiences, how it had affected them in the recovery process, and what kind of potential barriers and opportunities even that it might provide. She developed a very rich model from that I think is going to be very useful for the clinical field for years to come. You also heard that she's a wonderful teacher. She's a wonderful teacher. The students who work with her all report that she is just a wonderful person to work with. And as the chair of her committee, I have to say, I thoroughly enjoyed working with her, and I hope to continue to work with her for years to come. Mary Beth, congratulations.
Yay.
Yay, good job, Mary.
Good job, Mary.
Thank you, Jenny, Beth,
Congratulations.
Jerry, Steve,
Bob.
Congratulations, Mary Beth.
thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Mary.
Thank you, family. Everett and Molly, I miss you so much.
Oh.
Love to all.
Gracie,
Love you, Mary.
Thank you. Someday. It's got to be Judith's house.
Yeah, the squeaky net.
Dr. Kaufman, we'll turn it back to you.
Dr. Sarah Strayer has expanded our understanding of social justice in the social work curriculum. And I think that the work that she's doing as a result of this is going to have impacts in the field for years to come. A little bit about Sarah. She is a clinician. She has a long history of clinical work. And she began to recognize many years ago that the environmental constraints that her clients were experiencing were having an impact upon the therapeutic process and upon the potential outcomes of therapy. And with that in mind, she began to look at environmental justice, environmental racism in sort of her own practice, and then she expanded that through her work at Widener. Her dissertation was a wonderful piece of work. What she did was she did a survey of social work faculty across the nation. As many of you know, under our accrediting body, the Council for Social Work Education, environmental justice has recently become a part of what we are required to deal with our students. Not many people have looked into that yet. And so Sarah, in a really groundbreaking piece of work, decided to take a look at this and see what does environmental justice mean to the social work faculty who are teaching it? What do they know about it even? And then how are they implementing it in the classroom? From this, she came up with a very sort of constructive piece of work that I think will guide how the curricula can be presented. It identified some important gaps in what the faculty in social work need to know in order to work with this field. And throughout this process, she brought a real passion with her. I have never, ever known a student who could take information or a suggestion and turn it around as quickly as she did. She's got a wonderful mind, wonderful capacity for grabbing information and playing with it right there and coming up with something. She's an amazingly hard worker in this respect. And I personally have hope that she'll continue in this domain and get a couple of journal articles out here, because I think it's going to be an important wake-up call for the profession, that this is something that is not only important for the survival of our species, but if we're going to claim to have it as a part of our curriculum, we need to enhance the skills of faculty in order to do it. And Sarah, it really, I think, has been critically important and will continue to be critically important in bringing that to the attention of the faculty. Wonderful human being. And let me say congratulations, Sarah. Well done.
Yay, Sarah! Yay!
Oh, yay! Yay, Dr. Strayer! Great job, Dr. Strayer.
Thank you so much.
Looking good. That regalia looks great.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Well, so I just want to thank you all. So with that, that is our final student. So Dr. Giampertone, Dr. Hill, Dr. Hnosko, Dr. Musum, Dr. Myrick, Dr. Fogad, Dr. Semerad, and Dr. Strayer. Congratulations to all of you. We could not be more happy or more proud. Happier or more proud. As we close out today, I want to remind all of you, each of you, all 8 of you and your families, your friends, your loved ones, those who've come to bear witness today to this transition, this major transition in your lives, of a few things. First, we will welcome you to come back again next year to campus, actually to the Mann Center and to campus, to have a ceremony, a graduation ceremony that is a formal graduation ceremony. We hope that you will join us there face to face, but I can't tell you how much it meant to me and to your faculty to have all 8 of you here today and to be able to do this now, right as you pass through this really important time in your lives. And I think as Dr. Semerad said in her speech, the moment, the context in which we're doing this is incredibly important too. And I've been struck throughout today, as we've heard from each of your chairs, as to how important your various topics are given the current health crisis in this country. We have dissertations on trauma and on how people can address trauma and how we as social workers might encounter trauma in individuals. We have dissertations on the healthcare system and how professionals collaborate together in that system. We have a dissertation on the theme of regret, which has major components of loss, which is certainly something we're seeing now as a really key indicator for challenges that folks will be facing, not just today, but for a long time to come as a result of this health crisis. We see dissertations on mental health crisis, which is, exactly the key indicator of societies, not just individuals, but a whole society's dis-ease in really key and challenging times. We see challenges with immigration policy. Well, what are we doing? How are we addressing this as a global health crisis in the United States? And how can we make sure that we continue to have global connections like the wonderful one we have with Dr. Foglad and Thomasite University in the face of this crisis? Individuals who are incarcerated, Dr. Foglad's research with women in Thailand, we know in the United States how seriously individuals who are incarcerated are being affected. The Clubhouse movement, individuals again with serious and persistent mental illness, but first and foremost, people, humans, who may have challenges and who may be really, at times like this can be very distressing. Uncertainty is hard for everybody, and different people will experience it differently. And then lastly, environmental justice. We see in the disparate effects, the impacts that this pandemic, that this health crisis is having, we see powerfully evidence for how key and pervasive issues of the environment are in our social work practice. So for each and every one of you, what you've accomplished is important, it matters. And I am immensely proud that Widener has been your choice for graduate studies and has been able to be part of your journey. So go out, do great things. As we close, again, I invite you all to download a copy of the program. It does contain the abstracts for each of our graduating students' dissertation research. That research will also be indexed on ProQuest, and so it will be available to build knowledge on in the future. And lastly, as we close, I will show the slideshow again, so you can enjoy the photos of yourselves and your peers as you graduate. Thank you all, and have a wonderful Saturday. Or Friday. Have a wonderful Friday.
It's okay.
Woohoo!
Yay, congratulations. Woo-hoo-hoo.
Great job.
Good job.
Congratulations.
Celebrate.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Hey, great seeing everybody.
How do we get out?
On the top left, it says that you